guys, welcome back to X3 Vlogs. We're back with another video. We're reviewing the games from the past weekend in the Premier Division and also touching on Shamrock Rovers' defeat in Europe. Ready to be joined by Derry City fanatic JP. How are you?
Oh, good, Ash. All
Good
good.
stuff. Good stuff. Happy days. So we'll crack right in with the match on Thursday. Obviously, we previewed this match in the previous show during the week, and it was the meeting of Molde, Norwegian leaders in the league at the minute, and against Shamrock Rovers away out over in Norway. It was a 3-0 victory for the Norwegian side. Brulhausen with the 2 goals, and then also Hussein getting the third on the 58th minute. Your overall thoughts? Obviously, they hadn't played Molde before, so it's very interesting to see what type of team they were. But obviously, they come up against them the next round in the Conference League. But you're a bit disappointed. Obviously, Johnny Ward came out and said he was disgusted. He didn't go fairly easy, to be honest. He was fairly disappointed and angry, really. He was just saying about the gap, but also I think we all kind of knew that Shamrock Rovers were more concerned about the game today against Shelbourne, concentrating the league. But your overall thoughts on that?
Well, I think if we listen to Roy Gaffney today after the one over Shelbourne, he said that Europe is a bonus. So it is, and I think that's why Shamrock Rovers look at it. And I think if Derry hadn't snapping at their heels, they probably would have taken this game a wee bit more seriously. But I think Rovers, as a club from top to bottom, know that the bread and butter this year has to be getting in. It has to be winning the league to get a second chance again at getting the same kind of run. It's not making by not winning the league, it doesn't make it impossible, but by winning the league, it makes it easier. So you kind of got the feeling when you saw the lineup that Stephen Bradley picked, although okay, it's a strong enough lineup if we're talking about League of Ireland sense, but whenever you're going into Europa Conference group stages, it just showed that it wasn't strong enough. Molde, we know, are a good side. They've been in the group stages before as well. I think they played Dundalk a couple of years ago in the Europa League group stages. I'm not 100% up, but I'm nearly sure they did. So it's disappointing. It's after a good draw in their first game, it's 2-3-0 defeats now away from home. And I think until League of Ireland teams are consistently getting into the group stages, I think Europe is always going to be seen as a bonus. And unfortunately, when one of the players comes out and says that, it just shows you in reality where we are as a league compared to the likes of Norway and Sweden and countries like that. And until we start to get proper investment into the league from the FAI and from the government and stuff like that there, and a proper TV deal as well, I don't think we're going to be able to treat Europe as seriously as what we would like, because, as I said already, Rovers have to win the league. They have a better chance of getting to this stage next year as well. And not only that, Rovers are an aging team, their players are getting on a bit, and it's probably, and they know that Derry are an up and coming team, so they know that if they don't win the league this year, it's going to be extremely difficult for them. They maybe regain it next year, so they're probably looking at, right, if we can win it this year, it'll give us an extra year or so to it'll give us an extra year or so to concentrate on refreshing the squad, etc., and going again. So look, I'm not surprised that Rovers went out there and lost. Just a wee bit disappointed they didn't make more of a game of it.
Yeah, well, that's it. And obviously, that's their first time in Europe, as you said. Like, in a couple of seasons since the last time was the time they were in against Spurs and so on, where they've made
2011.
Yeah, 2011. They are like, so that's they have time. If they're going to continue to win the leagues and so on, it'll take them a wee while to get used to that European, because obviously there's a big, massive gap between league and European. So we'll take the opportunity.
I think in saying that too, they still shouldn't count themselves out of it because they're only, I think, looking at the table there,
4 points.
They're only three points. Only 3 points behind. So I think go to Tala next week and get a result. Could well keep them in the hunt for the final two games. So,
and they have the home games to come as well. I'll say, they
shouldn't totally give up. They shouldn't totally give up on it, but I can see where maybe Stephen Bradley's probably thinking that it's probably more beneficial for his team they won the league than it is to get the next round of the Europa Conference.
Yeah, that's it. And they have a few home games to come in the likes as well. And I'll say we know that they've been fairly decent at home in Europe. So here's hoping, as you said, and get a result against Malta next time out. But we'll take this opportunity to move on to the game in the Premier Division today between Shamrock Rovers and Shelbourne. Finished 3-2. The game was on RTE there. A very entertaining match. I was watching the two at the same time. I was watching the Arsenal and Liverpool, and then I was watching that's here on the other screen. So it was a very entertaining match. Obviously Shane Farrell opening the scoring for Shells. A great effort in 14, and then doubled his. Obviously Dan Cleary got a 1-1. I think he kind of made a mistake really for the first goal. Shane Farrell, and then he redeemed himself then with a goal in 27 minute, and then obviously Shane Farrell got one just before the break. Then a great ball in from Mark Coyle, and Farrell got it on the volley and past Manis to bring it into 2-1 at half time, and then it was good enough we second half, and Shamrock Rovers obviously level it up then 84 Cleary again, smash and grab really, and then obviously the debatable then 95th minute goal. I think there was 5 minutes that were added on. I think Duffer a happy man, considering I think they were dominated for the second half. Obviously Shelbourne come out and said that they were robbed. But I don't know about that, to be honest. I think it was a bit childish coming out from the official social media, but they obviously have that 3-2. It's a big result in the title. I'm sure Derry fans were punching the TV when that goal went in from Gaffney at the end. Obviously, if they had got the 2-2, it would be a point, but obviously that gap is to 5 now. Instead of 3, it's going to be 5, and they're going to be, as Keith has mentioned on Twitter already, he thinks that's the title over now. Really, he thinks Shamrock Rovers are the winners, but who knows what will happen in the next few weeks. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I didn't see much of this game. Marsh, was I saw the last half hour. From what I saw a wee bit of the first half as well. But I saw the last half hour, and from what I saw of either half, it was all Shamrock Rovers, to be honest. But the 2 goals from Shelbourne, really well taken from Shane Farrell. The first one, I think he knows he's offside because he actually looks at the linesman. The flag stays down. He just plays on, puts it in the net, and that's what a good forward player does. Like Dan Cleary annoys me at times because he did it last year too. I remember down in Dundalk when Derry, Jamie McGonigal scored the winning goal. He played McGonigal onside, and he was too interested in looking for a linesman to help him out. And I think he's done the same in this. I think to be fair to him this time, he's probably right. They look for the linesman, but as you're taught from a youngster, as they played at a whistle, played a flag or whatever, and he needs to just get himself back in, get in front of Shane Farrell, and then deal with the situation. And don't try and he is right to feel hard done by a flag not going up, but at the end of the day, once it doesn't, you got to just play until you hear that whistle.
Yeah.
And look, fair play to him. Either side of Shane Farrell's in between, and either side of his second, he's got himself 2 as well. He found himself in a good centre forward position to equalise. I think Brendan Clark has to do better with his handling. I know there was for the weather conditions, the 2 teams served up a great spectacle, but I think Brendan Clark will be disappointed when he watches back and sees exactly. I think he's got to hold that. Even with there's not a lot of power, so I think even in the conditions you can catch that without dropping it. So he'll be disappointed there. Now I know Damon Duff spoke. I can't recall whether he spoke about the time added on the injury time. But I know he was annoyed that that it wasn't a free out instead of a corner. So I think he made a sub in injury time. So I can see once the referee's added on 4 minutes, he's made the sub, and Rovers have got their corner and scored inside the 30 seconds, which would have been added on for taking Coyle off and putting on the defender.
Yeah.
But you've still got to play. He's got to deal with it. Like, fair play to Roy Gaffney, because he stood on the byline and the ball comes in. He anticipates where it's going to drop, and he gets there and he volleys it, and you're watching and thinking, how on earth is that going in? And you're looking, Brendan Clark's got a touch on it, I think, which takes it away from the defender on the line. The defender's right behind him. Where he was behind the line is another story.
Yeah.
But look, fantastic finish, and you have to give all credit to Shamrock Rovers, because they very easily could have given up. But they didn't. They played like champions. They went to the end, and that's what champions do. They keep going to the very end, and we've spoken throughout the season about Derry, especially in the early part of the season, winning games late on. But this is where you really need to win the games late on, when your backs are against the wall, and you need to dig a result out, and that's exactly what champions do. Look, there's 4 games to go. There's 5 points in it. Anything could happen between now and the end of the season. The one thing that'll go for Rovers' favour is they now play a league game before Derry do, because Derry's in cup action next week. So Rovers have Drogheda on the Sunday, so they have a chance to extend it to 8 and maybe really kill the league off then. So it's, right now we'll not give up, but I think it's, as the weeks tick on, it's looking less and less likely that Shamrock Rovers won't win the league.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, I think it's a big result, and we've seen it before. Bradley time. Really, there's a few people thinking of different methods and thinking that it's the Rovers, and they obviously get that extra play to the Rovers. They play to the whistle really until they score or whatever. Like, but
I don't think anybody can lay that at Rob Harvey, because he's added on 4 minutes. Whether they agreed with the 4 minutes or not, that's another thing. I didn't see enough for the second half. They judge whether there was 4 minutes. I know there was 3 subs, and technically it's 30 seconds for a sub, so it would have been a minute and a half. So I can't judge where he would have got the other 2.5 minutes. They give himself 4. So but once he's added 4, Damien Duff's made a sub in injury time. There's an extra 30 seconds automatically, and Rovers have scored within that 30 seconds. So there are no complaints from me and that side of it. And you just have to take your hat off to Shamrock Rovers, because they just kept going there. And I thought Shelbourne dropped back far too early. Well, they were forced back. It didn't look like they were forced back, to be honest. But I think the substitution of Shane Farrell, I know he went off injured. I think that was a big change in the dynamics of the way the game was going, because they lost his kind of pace to get them out from defence, and it sort of seemed they sit in and hope to try and steal the win, or hang on to a point, and in the end they haven't got anything out of it, which will be disappointing. And I know Duff said afterwards he's sick of the hard luck stories, but that's how you build good mentality within your squad. And sure, no doubt that next season Shelbourne they'll have a lot less hard luck stories next season, because I think they'll be better for the many hard luck stories that they've had this season.
So then they move on to the cup semi-finals, so they'll be getting prepared for that there. But over the balance of the play, I think Shamrock Rovers deserve the one.
They deserve something out of it anyway.
It's
they deserve the one.
Yeah,
they definitely deserve something out of it.
Yeah, they are. So yeah, we'll move on to the Northwest Derby and the Brandywell on Friday night. Also, just before we get into this here, your thoughts quite all affected with the tragedy in Creaselaw in Donegal from Channel just and all the families and so on. It was kind of played really, that there really kind of stood over the game really, to be honest. Heading in there as a Donegal man on Friday night, my kind of Derby hype was kind of halted by that there, considering there's Creaselaw's not too far from where I play a lot of the time and wherever I live and so on. So you always have that kind of kind of thing in your head where someone a family member or whatever, maybe a friend could be involved, whatever. But yeah, obviously Derry picked up the 3 points, a very convincing win. 23 shots to 4 of Harps, 64% possession, completely dominated. Obviously Michael Duffy getting the score up in the score in 19 minutes in, and then obviously in the second half, then Brandon Kavanagh with the tap in. And then obviously Jamie McGonigal then finishing off with a volley. Jamie, he mentioned in the preview show that Harps could be Harps have been in for a few hockey ends over the years. I'm actually happy enough with 3-0, considering the goal difference with UCD, considering they lost as well. But I was getting worried, so I was at 2-0 on the 61st minute. I was thinking, geez, it could be in for 4-5-0 here. They could be getting worried with UCD, But yeah, your thoughts? I'm sure you're happy enough to beat the local rivals. But yeah, no, I don't no complaints at all. Derry just completely bossed it for me.
Yeah, just before I start, I should just like to pass my thoughts on those affected by the tragedy in Creasland Friday afternoon, and you could see from a Harps perspective that it was maybe playing a factor in their not in the but as you could see that there was a wee bit, their thoughts were probably potentially elsewhere, and um, we're close knit community in the northwest, so I'm sure that people in Donegal and Inishowen, Derry are probably we're probably not too far away from knowing somebody who has been affected by Friday afternoon's events, and just want to pass on my thoughts to the families and the community of Creasla. Like I've drove through there and passed through there, and drove through there and been there on many occasions. So thoughts are with them. On the derby, I think it was very, very one-sided. There was a lot of they had a lot of the ball, as you say, and the first half they didn't move it as well as they could do, but they went them 1-0. Went 1-0. The best passing move the first half brought about the first goal. Brilliant play on the halfway line. Patchen and Kavanagh 1-2, and Kavanagh was away, and a good ball into Michael Duffy, and fantastic finish. And don't think there was many chances after that until the second half, and I think Derry totally upped the tempo a wee bit more in the second half. And if it wasn't for McCoon, they could have had a few more. He's made a good save. McIntunde, I think he's made one more before Derry have got their second goal. Great play down the left. McIntunde gets himself across the near post, puts the goalkeeper off, and there's Brandon Kavanagh tapping home for 2-0. And then the penalty save he made from McGonigal as well. I think Connor Turish is a wee bit lucky, because I think
That's man.
I think when Andy Lyons watches that back, he'll be wondering why he was sent off in the Brandywell and Connor Turish wasn't. Because I think the
Definitely was
referee,
that.
yeah, not only it was that McGonigal's next touch was they potentially have a shot. So I think the referee probably got that one wrong, but I'm not going to criticise him because I thought he had a very decent game. They allowed the game to flow, and they allowed it to be a very physical contest.
Yeah.
So and then the game was up. McGonigal has a fantastic swivel and shot, and I think he deserved it from when he came on because he put himself about, and it's his first goal in the league. I think it was May when we lost 2-1 to Sligo. Was it the last time he scored? So in the league he scored, in the cup after that he scored against Oliver Bond and Shamrock Rovers. So good for him. They finally break that duck. And he'll look to maybe get a few more between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, that's up there, and yeah, no, I think
I thought you're watching that game back. Oh, sorry for cutting across here, but you're watching it and you're thinking, like I saw the highlight reel of how Van Harps played against Shelbourne, and they were putting their bodies on the line, and you were expecting a wee bit more of that coming into this game. And we didn't see it. did the events in Creasland maybe have an effect? You could well be, but I think in all throughout the season, I don't think Fan Harps have played as well as what they could do, and I think full credit has to go to Barry McNamee for sticking around and being there and trying to drive the team on and drive the quality up a wee bit. And I think the goalkeeper as well, James McKeown, I know he's had a few fluffy moments since he came, but you can see that there's a good keeper in there in him. And unfortunately, looking throughout the rest of the team, I find it really hard to see if Van Harps go down, how many of the rest would find a club in the Premier Division.
Yeah.
So
That's it. Yeah, no, I think it's just
look, for Harps now, it's just about trying to keep their head above UCD and maybe get a really good performance in the playoff final and take it from there. So,
yeah,
but for Derry, we're just happy to get the 3 points. It almost secure, just nearly secures Europe now. And for a minute that we thought that it did put the pressure on Shamrock Rovers, but they dealt with that pressure tonight, and fair play to them. And we'll go again next week in the cup against Treaty, and hopefully make the final in November. And after that, then we'll concentrate and seeing if we can catch Shamrock Rovers. But look, it's whatever happens between now and the end of the season. I think it's been a relatively good season, despite the 7 match game in May and June where we couldn't buy a win.
yeah, that's it. So now it's just a bit of a shame for Derry's point of view that Shamrock Rovers did score that goal, because it really would have brought this big title race to life, really, with just 3 points in it. And obviously the teams have to meet in 20 days time, or at the end of the month. So it's a shame if you're a Derry City fan, but Shamrock Rovers fans will be happy enough anyway, but considering they got that result tonight. But yeah, we'll move on to the race for Europe. Obviously, as the team or the battle between third and fourth in Oriel Park. Obviously Dundalk having that big long record, at a home record, and it was finally broken on Friday night. We didn't really see it, to be honest. Yourself and Luke, in the previous show, we thought, no, Dundalk will either get a point or get a win here, but it's Adam O'Reilly's goal in the 93rd minute. Great work from Sam Curtis to win the ball back off Ryan O'Kane, and then it's basically it's here and then it's here in the next minute up the pitch, and Adam Reddy gets the goal, and to send the men from Inchicore happy out, and they've won 2-1 away, and they've broken that record, and they're really back in the hunt for Europe. Obviously Ryan O'Kane getting the equaliser on 45, Chris Forrester with a great strike from the edge of the box to make it 1-0 to St. Pat's. But as I said, the heat for the top four, third place possibly, is heating up now, with just a point between the two sides, and obviously you said 4 games to go, so there's really a lot of football. There's still a wee bit of football to be played, but with Dundalk losing, sorry, St. Pat's are just a point behind. They're breathing down their necks, and Dundalk's form in the past 4 games has been a loss, a win, a loss, a draw, and then a win. So they're up and down really. But who knows what will happen in the end coming to the end of the season. But good result for Pats.
It was needed. We said that in the build-up show. I said that Pats had to win this. If they didn't win it, if they lost it, it was game over. If they won it, it's game on. And if it was a draw, it was as we were. So, but look, fair play to some Pats. They kept going right to the end. They knew they had it. But I think you have to question Dundalk. Why did they not just take up all the corner flag, and they've taken it in, they've set in the box, and they've lost it. You're looking at it, and I don't know, is there people saying that maybe it was a foul, but definitely not. Good play by Sam Curtis. I'm sure there were some Dundalk fans on the ground at that time. They were potentially shouting for a penalty and whatever, but at that point, you still don't see how Dundalk are going to concede. But you have to give it absolute credit. They passed away, they broke forward, and I think they picked 3 passes, and the final pass had to be the right pass. And then the ball across the box is just whoever's going to be there. And was Adam O'Reilly, who made it bust the gut.
Yeah, he busted a gut, absolutely busted a gut. He was in the box, yeah.
They get from ages in the box into the 6-yard box. They scored a winning goal. They keep his team's European hopes alive, very much alive. And it's now down the final fixtures, because I was looking there. Pats are playing Bows next week, and Dundalk are playing Finn Harps. So potentially that could be the crucial fixture with 3 games left after them. So I think there's no room for error for both of them now. And Pats will be relishing the Dublin Derby now next week against Bows. This result here will give them a massive spring in their step going into that game. And for Dundalk, I think it's in Finn Park, isn't it, Osh? Yeah. So not an easy venue to go to, even though Finn Harps are struggling this season. It's never been an easy venue to go to. Although some teams do make it look easy, but it's never not. The race for third is very much alive. And it's exciting throughout the league, because you're looking at the top and you see that there's a slim title race. There's a race for third, and then you look at the bottom, and it's a race to see who can keep their neck above water, and maybe get a playoff spot. So, great result for Pats. I'm saying I'm delighted to see it, because you want things to go right to the very end. You don't want everything decided before the end. Like last year, we were involved in this. We kept the European race alive, the last game of the season, and we got it. We picked up our own win, and Sligo done us a favour against Bows, and it was just extremely exciting as a fan, and I'm sure probably equally as exciting as a neutral watching all these wee races.
Yeah, that's it. I know that's definitely a big result in the race for Europe. So definitely be interesting to see in the last 4 matches, as you mentioned, that match between Pats and Bows. Pats will be, the belief will be there for that there, and they're definitely in the run. Even if that that 4th place, isn't, say, if Derry were to win the cup, whatever, at least they have that 3rd place cemented. But,
whenever you look at the league table, you just see. Whenever it happened a few weeks ago, we thought that the 3 points that Dundalk were awarded were going to have a big say.
Yeah.
You're looking at the league table now, and they're having a massive say, because it's what's keeping Dundalk in there. And as a Pats fan, you're just looking back and scratching your head and wondering how Sligo got it so wrong. But at the end of the day, they just have to concentrate on their next 4 fixtures and see if they can get over the line. And next Sunday, next Sunday is a big thing for the 4th place, because if Derry can beat Treaty, it keeps 4th place alive. Right to the end. So, but look, great result for Pats. Dundalk will be disappointed, because 2-1 up and then 90-second, 30 seconds left. They should be seeing the game out, and they don't.
They should be. Talking about 8 goals, hey, we'll move on to a match at Dailyman Park, where both lost out 1-0 to Drogheda. 93rd minute, Dale Rooney with the goal. Jordan Flores was dismissed after 2nd yellow on the 70th minute. Same old Bows. 1-2 on the bounce, and then losing. Completely dominated by Drogheda on their own patch. 20 shots to 5. The Bows fans are definitely scratching their heads and wondering where they go from here. They're still in 6th place. Shelbourne are 6 points off them, but possible chance to make a bit of ground up on Sligo there, but they're 2 points behind them now. We're with Drogheda, that's them safe. Kevin Doherty's really impressed with how the teams perform this year. They're 15 points clear the bottom 2, and they've really had a very, very good season, considering it's their first time back in the top flight. But your thoughts on that there? Really a kind of nothing game, really, although Drogheda are safe now, but I'm sure both teams will be looking to have a strong end to the season if they can.
All right, well, I think all credit has to go to Drogheda, because then I think they probably outperformed the expectations last year. For a team that had come straight up. And not only that, they lost their manager, they lost key players. Jimmy Brown and Killian Phillips went to England. They lost key players elsewhere, but what they did do was they signed key players from clubs around them. Like say Adam Foley came from Finn Harps and other stuff like that. But what they did was they kept a continuity. They promoted Kevin Doherty, the manager. He moved swiftly and brought in the guy was at Longford. Dara Doyle, who was sacked by Longford, but was very well, highly regarded while he was there. Done a fantastic job. Got them promoted against all the odds as well. So they've had I think you have to say they've had a good season. They've done relatively well. They're probably where we would have expected them to be.
Yeah.
We probably would have thought that they would have been hanging on a wee bit more than what they did this season, because I think they've probably been safe from July, but this now makes it official, and they were delighted they get a third season in the Premier Division. For Bows, they're just in free fall really. They pulled the trigger on Keith Long, and I don't think I think they just pulled the trigger because they weren't doing well, which is fair enough. But when you do that, you have to have I think you have to have a plan in place for what you really want. They had the new manager bounced by beating Shamrock Rovers at Dalymount, but they haven't really kicked on from that. I don't think they've had it put in any kind of performance since. They played really well against Derry in the Brandywell, could have nicked the point, but I think overall Derry deserved to beat them that night. But from then, I don't. As you say, they lost they beat Finn Harps 2-0 the other week.
Yeah.
They were outplayed in that game as well. So,
yeah.
But look, they've been in free fall, I think, for most of the season. They've got a group of players there that you wonder whether they're going to be there next year under the new manager. The new manager coming in, will he be forced to work with this group of players and try and get a tune out of them? Because Derek Pender and Trevor Crawley were tasked with that for the end of the season, and they haven't been really, as you touched on there, the stats was 20 shots to Drogheda, 5 to Bows, and this was at Dalymount Park, not Head the Game Park.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and the commentator on the highlights reel described it as a smash and grab for Drogheda, which was very, very harsh, because a smash and grab is when you've been pinned in for the entire game and you've gone up and you've bagged the winner. So they call it a smash and grab. They've hit the woodwork, I think, 3 times. They forced saves out of the goalkeeper, Tag Ryan. And so it was far from a smash and grab. It was very much deserved. And as you say, like the Bows are now only 6 in front of Shelbourne. They've fallen 2 behind Sligo. It's not really in terms of that. It's you just trying to finish as tight as you possibly can now, because their season, Sligo's season, Shelbourne's still alive because they're in the cup. But Bows and Sligo seasons are effectively trying to finish as high as they can, affect the relegation spots, affect the title race, affect the European spots without really benefiting from it. So, disappointing for both, but it's been a disappointing season. But Drogheda will be very much delighted with that one. And then if, as I said, they've probably been safe from July, but they've be able to look at that league table and realise that UCD and Finn Harps can no longer catch him, must be a sheer relief.
Yeah, that's it. And it's really just a mystery how Bows fans aren't pulling their hair out at this stage, to be honest. But at least with Harps, there's not much hope there. But when Bows pick up, lose, it's just the way it is. JP, I'll be blunt about it. That's the way it is. But anyway, we'll move on to the last match of the weekend. It was at the UCD Bowl between Sligo and UCD, and obviously UCD hadn't been beaten by Sligo this year, but 2 goals from Anne McDonald in the 19th, and the 55th minute got the business done. I didn't even watch the highlights this year. I didn't get a chance, but Sligo in that 5th place, they're 10 points off 4th place. With Pats picking up that win too, I can't see them catching the 4th place. So as you said, already they're kind of consolidating that place, but just they probably want to finish as high as they can. Both sniffing behind them 2 points. So yeah.
The one for Pat's probably, well, not probably about it. It just seals Sligo's fate. Like, I thought that you just looking at the league table there, Sligo had a one. They would have had an outside chance of maybe sneaking fourth. But with Sligo did win. Sorry, if Pats had a loss, the Sligo may have had an outside chance of maybe putting a run together and sneaking fourth. But I think this confirms now that the top four is going to be the top four. It's just a matter of what order is it going to be. And for Sligo, like it's touched on there, they hadn't beaten UCD this year. They dropped 5 points to them. And I think John Russell spoke about it in his after match interview, and he said that they wanted to put in a performance because of that very reason, and they did that. They won 2-0. You can't ask for more. Adam McDonnell, he's been man in the headlines the last few weeks for Sligo for the wrong reasons. So he's in it now for the right reasons, and fantastic 2-0 win for Sligo. They finished third last year. They fell over the line, and many did think because they'd fallen over the line last year and didn't sprint over the line that this type of season was probably just about to happen for them because of the way they finished last season. Like, from June onwards, they didn't really perform well, and they took it into they started this season really well, but then they fell back into that trap, and they're probably where most people thought they would have done. They had a fantastic run in Europe, fantastic result against Motherwell, and I think did they get another round? Get through another? Yeah, sorry, they beat the Wedge team, then they beat Motherwell, and they come up against a really good, strong Norwegian team. Or was it? Yeah, it was Norwegian, wasn't it? So they come up against a really strong team. So they had a good run in Europe. Now they have a season where they can regroup.
Viking, it was Viking.
Yeah, Viking. Yeah. So they'll have a season now next year where they can regroup and see how far they can go up the league and give the cup a better go this year, because once they went out against Wexford, it really did put the pressure on them for the league, and I don't think they were playing well enough in the league. They weren't consistent enough in the league to be able to solely concentrate on the league. At least with the cup, it's one game, you're back the league, then you can go and concentrate in the cup, and then just the luck of the draw, a bit of luck or whatever. But to be fair to Sligo, they probably are where we expect them. They finish this season. UCD are in around where we expected them. Once they beat Waterford, they come up. I don't think anybody thought that they would finish outside the bottom two. To be fair to them, they're giving it a right go with Harps, so they are. If it stays like this, I think everybody's going to be really having one eye on that game at Finn Park, gosh, in 3 weeks' time.
Definitely it'll be a crucial match, and we were all keeping an eye on the UCD match on Friday just to make sure they weren't winning, because it's
and it was one.
Now.
It is like you're looking at the league, and they've both conceded 62 goals. The difference is Finn Harps have scored 7 more. So Harps, I don't know, we touched on it there. Harps lost 3-0. It really could have been 6.
Yeah,
it really could have been.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that they'll take from that Finn Harps, is that they came out of there with just a 3. So they, in effect, that they've just dropped 1 on the goal difference rather than 4 or 5. So that's the main thing for them, is they don't get hidings between now and that UCD game, because what they'll want to do is go into that game at Finn Park where UCD have to win it effectively, because the week after then UCD have to play Shamrock Rovers, which will be really difficult for them. So that's the main thing for UCD, is trying to keep in there. I know Harps are home to Dundalk next week. UCD are home to Drogheda, so that's a potentially good fixture for UCD next week. I know the last 2 weeks I predicted them they get a result, and they haven't done that. So, but you're looking at it and you're thinking that's a potentially good opportunity here for UCD against Drogheda. Will the Drogheda players have their feet up? You'll hope not.
Exactly.
But Yeah. Then thought UCD would have got something from this game, but they didn't, and maybe as the season's starting to catch up on them now, who knows?
Yeah, well, it'll be tit for tat now between the two teams. It'll be, as JP mentioned already, it'll be interesting at all ends of the table. But Keith's be back from his holidays, back from sunning himself this week, the lucky man. But he'll be back next week this week, sorry, to do the preview shows for the two cup matches and also the three league matches that are on. But yeah, thanks JP for your thoughts, and
Cheers, Josh. Enjoyed it.
once again, our thoughts go out to the families in Greece, love from everyone at the channel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cheers for tuning in, and yeah, leave a wee comment below whatever your thoughts on your team's performance this weekend. And if you're not subscribed already, be sure, sorry, to subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we'll chat to you again. Cheers.